In May of 2024, a YouTuber named Chris Hill uploaded a chilling video titled "Terrifying Encounter at Night" to his channel, Urbex Hill. Chris's channel is dedicated to urban exploration, and he frequently documents footage of his bizarre encounters while exploring various abandoned locations throughout the United States. In this particular video, Chris decided to explore an abandoned school known as Robert Fulton Elementary School, situated in Cleveland, Ohio. Constructed in 1929, Robert Fulton Elementary School was a prominent educational institution in Cleveland. The school was dedicated to providing quality education to its students and offered a diverse range of educational programs that catered to the unique needs of its student body. However, over the years, the school faced a period of decline due to a combination of factors. As a result, the school was officially shut down in 2013. After serving its community for 84 years. Since then, the school has been completely abandoned for almost 13 years and has become a hotspot for criminal activity. The neighborhood itself is considered one of the roughest areas in Cleveland. In the video, Chris set out to explore the school alone in the middle of the night. It's important to mention that this wasn't Chris's first visit to the school. He had indeed explored it 3 years prior, and during that visit, he had a very disturbing encounter. Despite this chilling encounter, Chris returned to the abandoned school to investigate whether the man he'd encountered before was still living there. As Chris stepped inside the school, he immediately noticed the poor condition of the building and mentioned that the structures inside were even worse than what he'd seen before. As he explored further, he started walking into the room where he'd previously seen the man hiding, but this time he didn't encounter him. The first few minutes of his exploration seemed to be going smoothly, as he didn't hear or see anything unusual. It seemed like Chris was completely alone inside the building, as the man he'd seen before had probably left by this point. However, just moments later, as Chris was walking down the hallway, that's when he encountered something truly disturbing.
I heard something. Oh shit. You hear that? I thought I heard somebody walking. It sounded like somebody was in there walking and talking. That freaked me out.
After Chris heard someone talking on the lower level, he initially hid inside one of the rooms, but after hearing the sound of footsteps, he built up his courage and eventually went downstairs to investigate their source. However, as he investigated one of the rooms, that's when he made a shocking discovery.
This place is horrible. Oh, it's bad. Oh, shit.
If you look closely at the point when Chris looks inside the room, you can clearly see a reflection of a man's shoes as he tries to hide. This detail is particularly alarming given that Chris was chased out of the school during his initial visit. If he encounters the man again, things could escalate quickly, as squatters or homeless individuals are known to be hostile towards unwanted visitors. But Chris was completely unaware of this detail at the time. It wasn't until he reviewed the footage later that he saw the man hiding inside the room. Chris, oblivious to the man's presence, continued his exploration and started walking into the basement. However, just as Chris entered the basement, he suddenly heard a loud banging noise, and that's when things started to take a turn for the worse for Chris.
What the hell was that?
After Chris heard the loud bang, he placed his camera on the table and began clearing the path to investigate the noise. During this time, his camera captured a man walking away from him and hiding in the darkness. But again, Chris was completely unaware of the man's presence and was still trying to investigate the loud bang he'd heard earlier. However, while investigating the noise, that's when Chris encountered something that sent him running out of the building.
All these desks behind. Somebody's down here. somebody talking. Somebody's down there.
According to Chris, when he noticed the man holding the flashlight, he also noticed him holding a firearm in his other hand. Chris, terrified for his life, immediately ran out of the basement, and that's when the man started shooting towards him. Fortunately for Chris, he managed to run away from the man just in time and didn't get hurt or injured during this chilling encounter. It's still unclear who this man was, along with what his true intentions were, but based on his appearance, it's very likely that this was the same individual Chris had encountered during his previous visit, and based on the man's actions that night, the man was probably a squatter or a homeless individual who didn't want Chris inside the building. During Chris's initial visit, the man screamed at Chris, which sent him out of the building. When Chris went back to the school, the man at first hid from him in various rooms. However, when Chris still didn't leave, the man revealed his presence and started shooting, forcing Chris to run out of the building once again. Not only did Chris leave, but he has not returned to Robert Fulton Elementary School in Cleveland since that night. In November of 2017, a YouTuber named John uploaded a terrifying video titled "Scariest Thing I Have Ever Caught on Camera" to his channel Exploration Unknown. John's channel is dedicated to urban exploration, and he often shares footage of him exploring various abandoned locations throughout North America. In this particular video, John chose to explore an abandoned farmstead located somewhere in the United States. According to John, the farm stretches over 100 acres of land, but has been abandoned for a considerable time. Since then, it has been rumored to be haunted, with multiple reports of ghost sightings and other bizarre occurrences. Despite all of this, John decided to investigate the farm at 3 in the morning. He began his exploration by venturing deep into the woods to locate the abandoned farm. As he walked toward the location, John noticed that the area was overrun with overgrown trees, and the various structures appeared severely damaged, with some on the verge of collapsing. This suggested that the farm had been abandoned and neglected for a significant amount of time. As John continued his exploration, he moved from one area to another and noticed all the machinery and equipment that had been left behind. However, while investigating one of the sheds, that's when he encountered something truly disturbing.
I'm not gonna lie, that really freaked me out when I first saw it. Which is weird because it's like somebody's jacket just hanging there. This old barn garage. Oh wow. That actually still got, oh wow. It's unopened motor oil. That's really cool. There's a bunch of cans up here. This is probably not the safest structure to be inside of right now. It is all collapsed everywhere around me except there's one little spot I'm in. Here's what I want to show you guys. Okay guys, what is here in front of me? The 1953 5-window Chevrolet 3100. This is my dream truck. This is the truck I want.
As John walked into the garage, he noticed several sealed cans of motor oil lying on the shelves. Outside, he discovered an old 1950s truck, suggesting that the owners must have suddenly abandoned the farm. This detail was particularly alarming, given that the farm is rumored to be haunted. However, as John made his way toward another part of the property, his camera captured something that completely changed the course of the investigation.
Okay, there's the old barn in the woods. This is actually a thriving farm at one point. Still a pretty solid looking old barn, except for that corner. I just love being out in the woods at night. Something really freaking cool about it. Okay. Something really freaking cool about it.
If you look closely at the moment when John walks out of the barn, you can clearly see a woman with long hair, dressed entirely in white, standing beside the trees and staring intently at him. However, John was unaware of her presence and continued to explore the farm for an additional 10 minutes. Fortunately, he did not capture or encounter the woman during that time. It wasn't until he returned home and reviewed the footage that he noticed the woman staring directly at him. The woman's identity remains a mystery, along with the question of whether John's experience that night was paranormal, especially considering the farm's reputation for being haunted. However, since John has not provided any further updates regarding the woman, this mystery remains unsolved. This is a YouTuber named Chris Hill who in July 2023 uploaded a video on his channel, Urbex Hill, in which he recorded footage of his disturbing encounter while exploring an abandoned church. Chris's channel mainly focuses on documenting his creepy experiences at various abandoned locations. In this video, Chris chose to visit Holton Avenue to film the abandoned church and the surrounding buildings. For those unfamiliar with the area, it is recognized as a particularly creepy street in Cleveland, as it is entirely deserted and abandoned. In the early 1900s, the first Hungarian Baptist church was constructed there, but it eventually fell into neglect and was left abandoned, along with the other buildings on the street. In April 2016, the remains of a woman named Jessica Coleman were discovered there after she had gone missing, and sadly, her attacker was never identified. As Chris entered the abandoned church to film, he observed creepy graffiti, shattered glass, and deteriorating walls. While exploring the basement, Chris found evidence indicating that someone had recently been inside the church. He also positioned several cameras throughout the building to capture various perspectives, and about 10 minutes into his exploration, one of the cameras on the main floor recorded something very disturbing.
What is that? I could have swore I heard something. That's an animal. That's weird. That was upstairs. Oh shit.
Chris initially suspected that an animal was responsible for the strange noises echoing through the church. However, his suspicions were quickly dismissed when he heard a loud door slam coming from upstairs. Realizing that someone might be in the church with him, Chris began to search the area, but he found no one. Feeling unsafe, he decided to step outside and explore the other buildings on the street. To his surprise, the surrounding houses were in even worse condition than the church. Many of the houses looked as though they could collapse at any moment. Chris, however, decided to investigate the most damaged house in the area. About 30 minutes into his exploration, he decided to venture down into the basement. It was at this moment that he stumbled upon something terrifying.
There's a basement. Oh, that looks creepy as f***. This is sketchy. This cannot be safe. Hope I don't find a body down here. It actually looks like it's just underneath the house. It's not really a basement. Still creepy. Sorry. I didn't know nobody lived there. Shit. It smelled like piss. I knew somebody was in there.
As Chris entered the basement, he heard a sound coming from the ground floor, prompting him to quickly get out. When he returned upstairs to investigate, a person holding a baseball bat suddenly pulled back the curtains, afraid for his life. Chris quickly apologized and ran out of the house. Despite the horrible state of the supposedly abandoned house, he realized that someone was indeed living there. The individual was likely a homeless person or a squatter who didn't want him around. It remains uncertain whether this was the same individual who had slammed the door earlier at the church, or if it was a different person. This unexpected encounter took Chris by surprise, ultimately leading him to decide to leave the area for good. These right here are YouTubers named Matt and Andy, who run the channel Finders Beepers History Seekers. In March 2023, they uploaded a chilling video titled Scary Abandoned House Had a Body Under the Bed. Their channel is dedicated to urban exploration, where they frequently share footage of their thrilling adventures in mysterious abandoned locations. What sets their channel apart from other urban exploration channels is their dog named Bear. They always bring him along on their explorations and even equip him with his own GoPro camera to record moments they might otherwise overlook. This unique perspective not only showcases Bear's adventures, but also adds an extra layer of charm and intrigue to their videos. In this particular video, the trio ventured into an abandoned house located somewhere in the UK. As they entered the house, they discovered various items including old history books, kitchen utensils, and other household artifacts. Up until that point, everything seemed fairly normal. However, about 30 minutes into their exploration, they stumbled upon something very strange.
Where's he gone in here? What have you found, Bear? I wonder if it's that curtain flapping around in wind, because you just never know with things like that. Oh, it's good in here though. But look at it. And then why has that got a lock on it there for a bathroom cabinet? That makes no sense at all. Bear, you're just causing so much bother. What the f***? Someone has definitely just run down those stairs. Where is he, Ben? Hello? 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 That weren't just my imagination, that, were it?
I thought it were him. But
No, because he was stood with yours. Hello? We're not secure. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to hurt you. Urban Explorers. Just having a look round.
As they heard footsteps echoing down the stairs, they immediately went down to investigate. At one point, they called out to whoever was inside, assuring them that they were merely there to explore and meant no harm to anyone. After receiving no response, they continued to investigate the source of the mysterious footsteps.
I'm going to have to watch your back. That was definitely somebody running down the stairs. 100% that was someone running down the stairs. I feel sick, Andy. That were horrible.
There's only one way in and one way out here.
I know there is.
Unless to get through a window, but we'd have heard them, wouldn't we?
Don't say that, because that means that they're still in here. I'm fucking freaked. I feel sick. I feel sick. That's the way in and out. They must have scrambled through there like mega fast. They've got to be pretty thin because it's not easy to get in and out of either. What have you found, Bet? What are you looking for? I don't know what to do now because you've put me. It's your fault. You've put me on edge.
Why is it my fault?
No, I mean you've put me on edge because you're like they can't have got out of there that quick. Bear, what are you doing? He's covered in cobwebs. Do you know the way of doing this? We can watch his footage back. I'll have to do it on his camera.
Yeah.
Come on.
After searching thoroughly and finding no one inside, Matt came up with a smart idea to check the GoPro footage from their dog. To their shock, just moments before they heard footsteps coming down the stairs, the camera had captured something very disturbing. To their surprise, there was actually someone hiding under the bed in the second-floor bedroom, and you can clearly see parts of their face and hands before the dog runs away. After this disturbing discovery, Matt and Andy stayed in the house for an additional 20 minutes, contemplating whether to leave or remain inside, all while feeling on edge the entire time. And it must have been incredibly scary to review the footage and realize that someone had been watching them the entire time.